Welcome to the live stream, everybody. As always, I will start with a little Bitcoin analysis and see what the MDX ALGO indicators are showing. I will also check out a few random altcoins. Of course, feel free to ask any questions if you have any about the features or settings that I use with these indicators, anything like that. I'll do my best to answer them as always. With that, feel free to also give altcoin requests in the chat box, and quite often I forget about that chat box on the Discord, guys, so bear with me. It might take a little bit, but if you just leave altcoins there, I can definitely check them out when I have a minute here. So yeah, with that, we'll just kind of see what I'm seeing, see what the indicators are saying, and that kind of thing. So first things first, just because I do see at least one new person that hasn't been around for too many of these, just in case you are new, one thing that I want to talk about with the indicators, just in case you have any visual issues or anything like that, make sure you right click on any of the signals and make sure your visual order is bring to front. If you don't have that, sometimes your candles can look, the colors can get a little messed up and that sort of thing when you're using the indicators. So if you have any visual issues, that's probably it. Also, if you use the supply demand feature in the settings, that would be my green and red boxes here. Make sure you right click on the side and the prices here and use scale price chart only as well. So other than that, we'll hop right into it. Just looking at what I'm looking at with Bitcoin here, not all too shocking. As Jay was just talking about here, we had that little bit of a false break, and I was quite vocal about this price level as being our lower high, since we had this low here, lower low here. This was our highest point between those two. So on a daily scale, that was the resistance that I was very keen on watching for. And I was talking about that, I think, back when we were pumping up here. Obviously we had this other important level here, but I really, on the grand scheme of things, I was very interested in this 25 to 25.3K region there. And that's absolutely where we got that nice little failed break there. You can see if you would go on to shorter time frames, you'd see that, you'd probably be you'd just have this little fake out, and then you'd probably be respecting this line quite a bit on the shorter time frames as a very obvious level of resistance there. That was the level I was kind of interested in shorting if I were to play a short. I've been very vocal on my channel that I haven't really been all too keen on shorting lately. I'm more interested in waiting for a pullback and then getting into the market again. But yeah, I never did short this level, but this pullback isn't to be all too unexpected. I mean, I wasn't really thinking that we would break through, just smash through this very important level of resistance our very first try. I mean, I thought that there was an excellent chance that we do see some kind of a pullback and have to test it another time or two before breaking out, if that even happens. I mean, obviously, this could be the big rejection the Bears have been waiting for, and we get shut all the way back down. I don't know how realistic that is, just because, I mean, it took the collapse of the second biggest exchange in crypto to make the price get this little dump here. I don't know what it would take to end up sending the price all the way back down to those levels. Obviously, anything can happen, and the economy's a mess and that kind of stuff. I'm just talking from an absolute chart structure point of view. I'm just not all too worried right now. I mean, yes, there is the chance that we get some kind of a dump down. I don't know if we're going to set new lows at this point. Again, anything is possible, but I don't want to jump to those conclusions until we start seeing levels being reacted with in certain ways. Yeah, absolutely. If we break through, if we lose our lows, I totally see the reason to think that we might be going down to 14 or 10K or something like that. But as it stands right now, the fact that we have broke some nice structure, we are testing some very important levels again, and not getting a super harsh rejection is the nice thing. Is, yeah, we are seeing a decent one. I mean, how far did we pull back here since testing that? About a 10% pullback, but this is Bitcoin. A 10% move to the downside isn't all that scary, just a healthy retracement in my opinion. The fact is that we had a high here and a higher high here on a shorter time frame. Obviously, this is still our lower high on the daily chart. So yes, we're still flirting with that level, but on this run up, we have this high, a higher high. Here's our lowest point between the two. So that's still the level that I'm watching for our higher low currently. As long as we're trading above this level, I am going to hold on to my bullish bias. If we start closing 4-hour candles below this blue line, I'm going to have a harder time being bullish. Yes, we do still have this support from this range back here, but just the fact that if we lose this higher low, I would start to lose my confidence in this bullish rally is all. Just to bring up what the indicator is saying, it actually has mapped out this demand zone at the exact same level that I'm watching for that higher low. So that's interesting that the indicator did pick that up as well. That's very nice. And actually, you know what? Speaking about that lower level of support down here, there's actually a very beefy demand zone at this level. You can see that there's a couple green boxes actually stacked on top of each other. So that's obviously an important level in the market. So you know what? Maybe if we lose this level, there is still potential support down below us at least. And that's kind of the nice thing about Bitcoin taking these little consolidation pauses. It's not like they've been very large trade ranges or anything like that, but this is a 4-hour, so at least it's something. It's some sort of structure there. So when we have these breakouts and we get these runs to the upside, when we get our pullbacks, at least there's levels where we could find potential support. So it doesn't look all too bad in my opinion. Yes, I absolutely see reason that we do dump a little further. Let's say this would be 21.4, somewhere in there. Really all the way down towards 20K. Really wouldn't be off the table at this point. But yeah, we're going to have to see. I don't know how likely it is we drop all the way down there. Much like when we were trading back here, actually, when we dumped down here, I had mentioned that there was potential for a bounce here. There absolutely was that potential because we were just flipping this resistance into support, basically. And even though I thought that we would drop down to the support of this range, we never quite got that. So just the fact is this whole trading range was basically a setup for potential support there. And I'm kind of looking at the same thing for this level down here. If we end up dropping, I mean, at least we do have this structure on a higher low kind of a trajectory that would hopefully end up supporting the price if we do drop to those levels. We don't necessarily have to. I mean, you can see right now, this is on the 4-hourly chart, and this would be the trend confluence here, this green squiggly line here. And you can see the Algo 3 indicator here. It's starting to get a lot of reversal warnings and trend exhaustion ready to support the price right as we're trading towards that, well, right on top of that trend confluence. So once again, there is potential support where we are right now as well. The candles are flipping a bright green like that. Oscillator 4 up here doesn't actually have, you know, I would really like to see it have one of these diamonds or orange dot here, just basically saying that we are a bit oversold. But the oscillator 4 isn't really showing too much there. The oscillator 5, on the other hand, down at the bottom here, is showing a nice big green dot near the bottom there. So that's nice that it's lining up with this indicator. I really like when we see these indicators lining up together. One thing that has me a little on edge right now is I was looking at this chart here. So this is actually my logarithmic chart. This is a weekly time scale. So I don't know how, I guess, how much weight I want to give this chart because I haven't done a ton of back testing when it comes to a logarithmic chart or anything like that. But this trend line here, this lower red upward sloping trend line here, dates back all the way to 2013. So this is about a 10-year trend line here. And you can see what happened here. I mean, I was actually looking, when I was very bullish when we were trading at these levels here because I thought we were going to find support off of this trend line. One thing that I don't like to see is how well we did respect it. I mean, look how we were hovering right on top of it, and then we broke below it, got rejected from it. Now we're trading back up to that level, and we are flirting with that level as resistance once again. On top of that, it does line up with that lower high structure there. There's a lot of ugly resistance there right now on the weekly chart, in my opinion. And I just noticed that about 5-10 minutes minutes before starting this video. So that is a little bit well, a little bit scary for the bulls, honestly. That could be a very ugly support flipping into resistance kind of an area. Obviously doesn't have to happen, and like I said, this is the log scale. I don't know how much weight I should give it. Just gonna check some other indicators. One thing that has me a little more comfortable, I guess, is that the RSI is nowhere near overbought at this point yet. It's basically right in the center of the RSI, so we're not looking like we're super overextended on the weekly here as far as the RSI goes. I don't like that the oscillator 4 up here is definitely showing some of these diamonds and those orange dots that I was talking about. Those are some bearish warnings right there. And let's see what the oscillator 5 is showing. Really not too much. Actually, one thing, getting a little bit of mixed signals here, because the oscillator 5 is showing something that I really like here, and I've been pointing this out on my last several streams, and that's this green cloud here. That is the money flow on this oscillator 5 here. And to see it flip green like that on the weekly generally leads to very large moves to the upside. So we still do have that going for us. If this would flip red once again, I think the market could be in a pretty scary position at that point. Another thing, I mean, just a couple more warnings here, you guys, to go with that resistance I just pointed out, is on the weekly we do have that bearish warning reversal there, that orange dot with the W, as well as the trend confluence on the weekly chart is right above where we've topped out currently. So there's just no easy way to say it. Bitcoin has a ton of resistance up ahead right now. Yeah, we could absolutely negate all of this, just blow right through that. That would we would basically shoot through a whole bunch of resistance all at once if we were able to do that, and maybe then we could just chalk this whole thing up to a little bit of a fake out, and that we're actually going to get that run up towards 48K like I've been pointing out up at this level for several reasons. One, that structure there, it's just an obvious structure level, and I've pointed this out a million times, but bringing out the Fibonacci's and pulling from our bull market top to, if this is our bear market bottom here, that would line up beautifully with the 618 rejection Fibonacci resistance there. So yeah, if we can get back above this heavy resistance that I'm seeing here, I absolutely see the reason why we could trade much higher. But we're going to have to see what happens. Like I said, there is some warnings in the charts right now that I don't like on this weekly time frame here. But that being said, I don't know. We're just going to have to see. We do have, I don't know if you can see this very faint gray line here. That would be the market flow on this Algo 3 indicator. And that's actually taken a pretty steep correction to the upside here. So that might be ready to show us a little bit of support for the trend there. As well, we have this 21 weekly EMA here below us. So there is some support as well. And like I said, that's one reason why I'm not too worried with Bitcoin right now, is just because we have formed some support below us. Some indicators are starting to flip, showing potential support. So even though we have these bearish warnings, at least we do have some potential support if, you know, shit is about to hit the fan, basically. Really zooming into a shorter time frame here, because let's face it, I'm a degen. I like looking at shorter time frames, and a lot of traders in the group do. So just kind of zooming in here, this is my 5-minute chart. I'm pointing out this downward sloping red trend line here. I did have it a little bit different earlier, but it kept it wasn't really holding true for very long. So I kind of started watching for this horizontal support here, just looking for a failed break. I know we were talking about failed breaks just before this video, and this is one that I was looking at here. Is, you know, this is our current local low here. So I wanted to see, you know, a test of that line and how it's reacted to. Well, you know, we never did get a candle body close below that level. We just got this basically a fake out attempt. So there is definitely some bulls here trying to support the price here. Now, I would actually, the way I like to do things, since we had this break, I want to give some wiggle room to what I'm looking at for support. So I'm actually going to make it a downward sloping trend line like this. And that actually is starting to look like a bit of a wedge, but If we do end up coming back down, if we just break this level again, I don't think we necessarily have to nuke down or anything, just because we do have this trend line forming here, that maybe we do get a third touch point there and bounce from there. We're going to have to see. Some of you guys are probably well aware in the private Discord there, I was pointing out that I think, I don't know, this is just totally a gut feeling. This does not have to happen, but I just have this gut feeling that we're going to end up coming back down to this green line here for a third touch. Quite often when a range is fairly young, like, this trade range I'm talking about right here, obviously a very micro scale, very degenerate here. But quite often what these ranges like to do is give kind of a warning where the price is heading, and the fact that these two touch points are so perfect like that, I just really wouldn't be too surprised to see a third one at some point. The fact that we're kind of breaking out from this potential wedge, maybe we're going to cancel that out, maybe that won't happen, but it is just a line that I'm very interested in. I'm actually going to add an alert to this line, just to notify me every minute if we do end up hitting that line, because I want to see how it's reacted with. If we get some kind of a touchdown here and maybe a little bit of a fake out, I would love to enter along this trend line here as some kind of a scalp position to the long side. But yeah, that's basically how I like to look for trade setups quite often, is if there's a trend line I'm very interested in playing, looking for a scalp or a swing trade, doesn't matter, whatever time frame I'm looking at. I like to set an alarm to just let me know, my phone will let me know every minute to at least check out the situation. I'm not setting a blind order where I think this line's going to be or anything like that, but I just want to be made aware if that line is touched. So might actually do the same with this red line. Actually going to get rid of this one here, but this downward sloping red trend line, I absolutely think it makes a lot of sense that we would get back, test that line again, and possibly see a bit of a rejection there. But once again, we'll have to see what happens there. I want to actually, does anyone have any questions about my settings or the features or anything like this? I'm just going to catch up on the old chat box here as well. So talking about nuke down to those 14 10k levels that I was kind of talking about on the weekly time frame there. It was pointed out in the group here in the chat box that a meltdown in stocks is probably the only thing that could cause that. And absolutely, you guys, I know there's a lot of talk about crypto decoupling from traditional markets and that kind of thing, but generally speaking, if the stock markets are doing absolute shit, I mean, you can expect crypto to do the same. If they just nuke down, they get just hammered on, crypto is probably going to face that as well. So can you show where is that settings menu for the green red support resistance zones to toggle that scale getting that I showed before? Okay, yeah. That would be these boxes here that you're talking about, I assume. So that would be in the Algo 3 settings, and that would be the supply and demand checkbox here. I know the colors aren't typically green and red the way I have them. That's just the way that I've set it up, because the way these demand and supply zones kind of act, it's very similar to how I map out my resistance and support. So rather than mapping out my own boxes, I basically just change the colors here to green and red, and the indicator basically does that for me. So very cool. I absolutely love that feature. Especially when you love trading degenerate time frames and you don't want to be remapping out new boxes every few minutes or every hour or whatever, it's very nice that this indicator does it for me. I absolutely love that. Yes, I mentioned select the scale. To be honest, I'm not sure what that does, but I just right click on the price over here and just check scale price chart only. To be honest, I'm not sure what it does. I know MDX had just mentioned that you want to do that when you're using the supply demand zones. I haven't played around with it enough to know what the difference is, but yeah, what else could I mention about the settings? I can actually look at a few more things here. What time frame? I'm on the 4-hour chart here. I just want to remove all my drawings. So this is all indicator here. This is my 4-hour Bitcoin chart. This is all the MDX indicators, mapping absolutely everything out here. So yeah, like I mentioned, I mean, we're flirting right on top of that trend confluence on the 4-hour chart. I'm not sure what the automatic time frame is. Let's just see what my settings are. I have my trend confluence set as 1 hour, but that's not actually what's showing right now because I have the auto settings checked. If I unchecked it, that's what it would show. But yeah, I just have it on the auto settings. Not sure exactly what time frame it's based off of, but a longer one than the 4-day, obviously. So very nice that we're getting these potential support signals as we trade on top of that. Let's just see. I just want to see what the signals are looking at like. Quite often I have the long and short signals flipped off just because I myself, they make me like to FOMO into things and I don't necessarily look at my own analysis as clearly. So I like to kind of check out what everything else is looking at before I flip those on. So yeah, last thing we had was this long signal here. I personally, like I was talking about this trend confluence, I personally love to look for trade setups along trend confluences more so than looking for these signals. I like to treat these basically like a failed break. Like right now, honestly, as far as a swing position goes, this looks like a good entry on the 4-hour to me. The fact that we're so tight against this trend confluence, I mean, we could have a stop loss quite close. Since it's a 4-hour chart, maybe not doing the 100x or 50x leverage or anything like that. But this absolutely looks like something that may, you know, maybe even take a little bit lower of a dive here. But wouldn't be all too surprised to see this turn into a nice little bounce. And like I said, if it doesn't, it would just be a nice tight stop loss. You wouldn't be all too far away there. So yeah, very nice there. Let's check out some shorter time frames here. Hop into the 1-hour chart, see what the indicators are saying. Looking a little more bearish on the 1-hour, to be honest. Obviously, we have this demand zone here that's showing up here out of red. And we have the EMA just above us showing a bit of resistance. One thing that is going for the 1-hour right now, though, is once again this very faint gray line has gotten below the price here and looks like it may want to start curling to the upside. So we're going to have to watch for this to flip into support. And to be honest, I mean, it's not too much lower until we do have these nice demand zones. Sorry, I think I was calling this, I think I said this was a demand zone. I meant to say supply zone, if that was the case. This is a nice looking demand zone, not too far below us. And then again, that one even a little bit lower. So really anywhere from here down towards, I know this is sounds like a ridiculous range, but really all the way down towards 20K. I mean, there is a lot of support for Bitcoin. So I'm just going to be hanging on to my bullish bias for now. And until, like I mentioned, if we do happen to get some kind of a 4-hour candle body close below this level that I was watching as my higher low, start getting 4-hour closes below that level, I'm going to be a little more cautious, a little more worried about it. But if we just come down and get some kind of failed break of that level and look like we're going to turn this box into support, I mean, that would be absolutely beautiful to see from a bullish standpoint there. I believe scale price chart only checked. Only will scale the price chart only and not apply option to the indicators. Okay. Okay, so it would be more so looking at the price level rather than what the moving averages and that kind of thing are looking for. That's how I'm understanding that. That could make sense. What else should I hop into here, you guys? Actually, let's just take a look at these degen levels. Bitcoin is making that nice little move. Obviously, very small time frame, but like I said, ever since we got that little failed break on a very small time frame here, Let's see what it looked like on the 1 minute. Might have had a beautiful degenerate. Look how well that's respected. See, that's kind of the thing, guys, is like I always joke about, you know, trading the 1 minute and the 5 minute and stuff like that. But when I look at these levels, like a range low, for example, and then look for that failed break, and then you zoom into a shorter time frame, you can get that second entry, that second attempt, I guess. Like we have this, obviously, we failed. Well, they got that swing fail there, so get a bit of a fake out to the downside. But the candle body closes above that level, and then when we retest that line, absolutely perfect in the very next minute. So that is an absolutely perfect entry there, and that's how I really love to look at swing fails like that. Very cool. Love how analysis does that, even though, you know, a lot of people say technical analysis doesn't work. Somehow I just drew this line and then it magically respected it on different time frames to the exact penny, basically. All right, let's just check a few random altcoins here. This would be XTP, which is more commonly known as TAP, I believe. But yeah, basically nothing has changed since my last video here about this. We had this wick down with a very nice reaction from the bulls way back at this level, which was really flipping this resistance into support here. And to see that that's obviously a very strong demand level in the market, because this is again where we ended up getting a little bit of a bounce currently. Gonna have to see what happens, because the EMAs, the market flow, it's all above us on the daily chart here for XTP. So there is potential resistance there. I do like that the candles are flipping into a bright green, and we've tested this trend confluence absolutely perfectly on the daily chart as well to go with my green box here. So there is definitely reason to see that we could have tested a very nice level of support there. Just be cautious that there is a few things looking like they're starting to curl to the downside here. So, and when we're talking about these very low market cap coins, they are extremely volatile. They don't have a ton of liquidity in the trading pools and that kind of thing, so they can get very slippery. A lot of slippage, a lot of violent moves. So just be cautious there. BDP is another coin that I've been looking at quite a bit lately. This one is something to do with AI, which seems to be all the hype this market cycle so far. So this thing has been, speaking of volatile, I mean, I've pointed this out on many videos before that. This thing went for a 20x not too long ago. And this little pullback, and when I say little pullback, I actually mean almost a 80% correction here. I mean, this is an entire market cycle here that played out in, well, what was the date here? February 23rd. So in about a week, or sorry, not February 23rd, February 8th. So in a few weeks, this coin has basically had an entire market cycle worth of volatility. It's absolutely crazy how volatile these low cap coins can get. This thing is looking a little bit rough. I don't like that we dropped my red box here, and it kind of looks like we're possibly even flipping it into resistance. You can see anytime we got near it, we were selling off. The EMAs above us, that could end up being resistance here. Got a bearish cross with the trend confluence here, and this is on the 4-hour chart. So yeah, that doesn't look all too great. One thing that is going for it, once again, we have that market flow that got below the price and looks like it's starting to curl. So, I mean, we might just see this thing dump a little bit further. Maybe we do actually end up testing all the way into the support of this previous range back here. The thing is, that looks very nearby, but that's another, if we got to the bottom, that would be another 35-40% move to the downside. So like I said, these low cap coins, extremely volatile, extremely dangerous. If you're playing with them, use proper bankroll management, you guys. I look at coins like this as a total gamble, because they just take no money to change the price drastically, basically. PolX is another one that I've been looking at. A few things going for it, few things not going for it. I don't like that the oscillator 4 had all these bearish divergences up here. as well as the oscillator 5, kind of the same thing. We had those big red dots, big overbought territory there. We did get this bullish cross on the trend confluence, and that's on a daily chart, and this coin has less than $1 million market cap. So again, very high risk, very volatile, and I happened to buy a little bag of it just because, you know, there is some big gaps on this coin. If it does end up actually breaking out, let's say we find support, because we do have that bullish cross on the trend confluence on the daily, like I said. So if we end up finding some kind of support on this old resistance or something like that, I would really love to get back above that EMA here, this green smooth line here. I would really love to see that start supporting the price again. Because if this thing breaks out, I mean, these are some very large price gaps here. I mean, just going to this old resistance here, 60%, next serious level over 200%, damn near 500%. Obviously, these massive moves don't have to happen, but when you're dealing with these small cap coins, I just want to point out that it is a possibility, because like I said, it just takes no money to move these things. So I'd really like to see the indicator end up giving us some kind of a long signal here. Actually, do I have those signals on? I do. So the 4-hour probably has some. Yeah, you can see that this thing on the 4-hour and the daily, I've been really loving the signals that the Algo 3 has been giving. Obviously, you had on this coin is just one of many examples, basically. But yeah, had a lot of chances here with these strong buy signals to get into something like this. And like I said, BDP absolutely had that massive pump to the upside. Had a beautiful long signal on the daily. Actually, I feel like the signals are turned off there. Yeah, so some beautiful signals there as well. Some very nice moves. Damn near, well, yeah, damn near a 20x. It was a 20x. Let's just see that. From the top of that candle close to where it topped out, 18x. Like, that's a massive call. So these signals, this Algo 3 indicator on the 4-hour and the daily time frames has been printing some very nice signals. And that's kind of why I've started looking at altcoins again, because a lot of you guys are probably well aware that I mostly just talk about Bitcoin. I'm mostly just analyzing Bitcoin, but I have been looking at altcoins lately just because the indicator is printing out such juicy signals like that. So here's one, like I actually see Coins and Music in here. He's actually the one who pointed this out to me not long ago, a few weeks, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, this is one of those things where if this indicator ends up getting back below the price here and starts supporting it, I think it's only a matter of time until we would see some kind of a strong buy signal if we stay above this bullish flipped trend confluence here. And that could be an absolutely explosive move for something like that as well. Check Optimism. That's OP. Yeah, we'll check out Coinbase here. The daily chart. Oh, this thing is... Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting looking trend. And yes, you were telling us about this earlier. Yeah, very interesting. I just want to kind of do some freestyle analysis here. Go from where we had this top way back here. It's going to see how that resistance ended up flipping into perfect support. That's beautiful price action right there. Seeing that important level of resistance. I mean, that's all the way back from August. So to see us get to that level, kind of hover around it, form a little more structure, get above it, come back down, retest it like this. That's a very nice looking chart, to be honest. Looks like it's taken this little bit of a pullback, but you can see that the indicator actually did give a buy signal, and you can see that the daily EMA is supporting the price. Had this potential market bottom, this little blue triangle here, and above the trend confluence on a daily chart like this. That could have some serious momentum. The market flow has got above the price, so I mean, if this candle doesn't shoot back up, I mean, we could find some resistance there. But yeah, as far as a trending coin goes, I mean, that's an interesting chart right there. Interesting. I'm going to have to dig more into that one, I think. I know I've seen other people talking about this optimism across social media as well. There seems to be a little bit of hype around it. I know nothing about the market cap or what it does, anything like that, but that's totally fine. I've said this a million times. I just like to draw colorful shapes and trade them. So let's see what optimism, what's it looking like on shorter time frames. What do we have here? Kind of got this failed break. That would be one thing to be a little bit cautious about, much like how Bitcoin's daily chart looks like. Optimism on the 4 hour does have this little swing fail here, but that maybe, who knows, maybe this is all the pullback has in it. The fact that we are above this trend confluence on the 4 hour, I mean, there could be some serious support there. So just something to be cautious of when you see a rejection like this is all. But yeah, I like that. Obviously, got a strong trend, and you don't want to bet against the trend. So BTC had a nice move up while you've been live. Looks like it might come up to test the 1 hour trend confluence line. Let's just check the 1 hour trend confluence line. That will show up if I bring up the Algo 3 on the 5 minute here. And yeah, absolutely, we're getting very close to that trend confluence here. And we also have this reversal warning. This candle hasn't closed yet, so that warning isn't actually set in stone yet. And even if it happens, obviously we don't have to necessarily top out, but that would definitely be a strong little warning for us because, for one, the indicator, I know this is just a 5 minute, but it is printing this this supply zone here in red. That's all mapped out by the indicator once again. The 1 hour trend confluence coming down towards the price, reversal warning here. But like I said, I do like that we broke out of this red downward sloping trend line. I wish it would have had more perfect touch points, to be honest. I would have felt better about the breakout. But yeah, we're going to have to see. I would really like to see the price now kind of get above this and then see a bullish flip of the indicator with the trend confluence. I'd love to see that hourly trend confluence flip bullish again, but you're absolutely right. As it stands right now, that is resistance for Bitcoin on the short term here. Let's check out Floki. You know, I was thinking about looking at that one actually. KuCoin, you said? Yeah, here we go. Let's look at the 1 hour chart to start, because there's not a ton of data here, at least for on the KuCoin chart. You can see on the hourly time frame here, the indicator did give us this potential bullish reversal warning here. That's what that orange dot is there. Let's hop into some degen time frames here. Let's get into the 15 minute. Actually, I want to do a little bit of freestyle analysis before I bring up the indicators here. Let's just do a little bit. Let's maybe say this was an important flip zone. You can see that we had support here. I mean, tested it as support a few times, flipped it into resistance, back into support, potential support right now. I mean, yeah, that's an interesting level in my opinion right here. Another thing I'd like to look at here is that looks like maybe a nice little bull flag. Let's see what kind of a random, some kind of a bull flag like that, or at least a falling wedge perhaps. Yeah, you know, something to watch for, which would be an absolutely beautiful sign, would be if we end up breaking above this, out of this wedge here, and get a retest of that wedge right with my green box, basically flipping this resistance, well, just this support and resistance zone that I've been pointing out. It would be absolutely beautiful to see a retest of both those things like that. I think that would be an awesome buy level, in my opinion, to get some kind of a bounce there. Do you know what the market cap is on something like that? I guess I could bring it up. I'm just lazy. But yeah, I agree. I actually like the look of that. That's it reminds me of what was I looking at? I know I posted it on Twitter actually. Was it Phantom? I know there was a beautiful wedge I pointed out. Yeah, Phantom had a very similar looking wedge back in the day where we have that same box that flips from support to resistance back into support, break out of a big wedge, and Phantom went absolutely nuts there. So that could be the same kind of setup that we got going on right here, kind of. It's got a market cap of, about almost $500 million, hey? I guess Floki's been around on other exchanges and shit like that. It's pretty new with KuCoin, I guess. But yeah, I like that. That's impressive looking support zone in my opinion there. DYDX. Let's take a little peek. I like that we're on the daily here, and we're definitely respecting this EMA, the 21 EMA as support. Nice to see the indicator lining up there, and it has had this bullish cross down here. Yes, it's obviously getting a little bit away from the trend confluence, but at least the trend confluence has flipped bullish, so there is a lot of support there in my opinion. Let's just see. Have a little bit of a level of old resistance here that could be flipping into support. Yeah, that's not looking too bad either. Look on a shorter time frame here. I'd maybe like to see once again looking for some kind of a wedge. If we could get, let's say, a third touch point and then kind of break out, retest, and then continue higher, yeah, that does look nice. Daffy. Yeah. I haven't looked at that one in a while. I know it was getting the shit kicked out of it for a while. Another real low capper here. Like how far is it down from after this pump here? So that's another one kind of like BDP, you know, not quite down as much, but yeah, it's obviously taken an ass kicking. Let's just map out some random lines here. Obviously when it dropped that, flipped it into resistance very quickly. What else can we find? I mean, the thing is, we are technically at support. I'll give it that. I mean, support always looks weak until you get that bounce from it. So support is support until it's broken. This is a 4-hour chart, so if a 4-hour candle were to close below this box, then I would be a little bit concerned about it. But as it stands right now, that is technically a support level. Let's see what the indicators are saying here. I got a bearish cross on the trend confluence on the Algo 3. Did flip to a nice green candles right at that support level, which is interesting. But yeah, there's definitely some warning signs here that things could get a little bit ugly. Let's see what the daily's looking like. The EMA on the daily has also flipped red. Still have the trend confluence down lower, but really, I mean, if we would retest that again, that's like another 35% plunge to the downside. So, yeah, that chart, like I said, it's technically at support, but it doesn't look beautiful. Maybe look for some kind of a wedge there as well. Maybe more of a triangle, I guess. Either way, if it was a descending triangle, I mean, typically speaking, that's more of a bearish pattern. Well, that doesn't even work because of the volatility on this. But typically speaking, that would be a descending triangle if it would play out something like this, which has the tendency to break to the downside. But it absolutely doesn't have to. I mean, it could just get that measured move to the upside instead if it was going to be continuing to the upside. That is definitely a resistance line that I would be interested in watching if I was holding Daffy, personally. Sorry, just kind of catching up on the chat. Like I said, I'm horrible at keeping up to it. Doing pretty good this time. Yeah, what else can we look at, guys? I'm basically done going over my analysis. You can see Bitcoin is actually starting to... Well, here we go. Just like you were just talking about in the chat there, that it looked like we were going to test the 1 hour trend confluence. I'm going to consider that close enough. I think we can say that we've... yeah, there we go. Boom. Tested that 1 hour trend confluence. So, yeah, going to have to see how it reacts to that level, but... for now, yeah, Bitcoin's looking all right. Pumped out of this nice little wedge. I want to erase my own lines here just to clean things up. Get back on the degen level here for Bitcoin. Calling for a potential bottom with that very little triangle there. I don't think that's actually set in stone until this candle closes, though. These little blue triangles here aren't... they kind of go by the following candle, the reaction basically. So if this candle closes like this, obviously it's going to think that this is definitely potential support right here basically. Let's just... Oh, so we're not seeing any long signals right now because we have been trading below that trend confluence. Something I have with my settings right now, you'll notice that you're only seeing short signals basically, and that's actually a fairly powerful thing with some of the more recent updates with the indicators. They're not super new anymore. I guess they're a few months old, but this is one of my favorite things, is just having the filter checkbox here. So that'll get rid of a lot of the chop, because if I take off the filter, we're probably going to see a whole bunch of long signals in here as well. Yeah, so you can see it's just a little bit easier to get chopped up, but totally depends what kind of a time frame you're looking at trading, and your own preferences basically. Like I like to have the filter on so I don't have these signals all over the place. I like to have a cleaner chart. So you would miss some of these signals like this. I mean, that was a nice signal there. Sure, it's a short time frame, so it's nothing crazy, but nice signal there. Shortly after that failed break, basically after we tested this demand zone down here, consolidated a little bit, got that signal. The EMAs here really curling to the upside. I'd love to see a bullish cross of that pretty soon. Let's see what the something that I don't look at enough is the trade setup feature, and that's the one that a lot of people really like because it shows exact entries, stop losses, and that kind of thing. So you can see it absolutely nailed that one. I mean, it hit its first 2 take profits already. If you were looking to play something like this after this candle close, we got our entry point right here and obviously hit our first 2 take profits. And quite honestly, like I was talking earlier about the fact that I don't always have those long and short signals on. What I really like, even more so than finding entries from these indicators, is that it's very in your face about taking profits. And I know you guys have heard this a million times. I mention it on every single video pretty much, that when you're in a winning trade, you feel like the smartest person in the world, and it's very hard to take profits. So the fact that this indicator really spells it out for you and gives you exact targets like that, it makes it a little easier to take profits on positions. So yeah, a lot of times if you're in a winning position, I mean, this is where you're starting to feel like you're the smartest person in the world and you want to double down or triple down on your position, whereas the indicator is looking at it more rationally and saying, actually, maybe consider taking a little bit off the table. You're in a winning position. Don't get rid of these profits, basically. So that's one thing that I really like to use these trade setups for. And again, obviously this is just a 5-minute chart here, but yeah, very cool. A very cool feature there. Not too many indicators that are able to do that kind of stuff. Let's just check some different time frames just to see if there are quite some interesting signals out of it. The 15-minute, holy, absolutely nailed that short. It's said to take a short right here. That's the end of the blue dotted lines here. And obviously nailed the 3-to-1 risk-reward ratio there. Absolutely beautiful call there. I kind of wish that I had this on at that time. Hourly chart, let's see what it's... I assume there's a beautiful looking short there as well. That's the thing. We're only seeing the one that's currently up. You have to remember that there could be some failed calls as well. Obviously, no indicators, perfect. Getting very close to the first take profit on the hourly time frame entry that it gave. But yeah, look at that. The third take profit on the hourly call there would line up very close with that 20K level. And like I said, I mean, really anywhere between now and 20K is kind of fair game, in my opinion, for healthy structure for the Bitcoin chart. So interesting that it lines up with that level approximately. Let's go back to the 5-minute. You guys know I love my degen timeframes. DPET on KuCoin. Let's check it out. And we'll hop over to the 4-hour. Let's just look for a little bit of random freestyle in here, and then I'll flip on the indicators. Just going to map out potential support. What are some important flippy areas here? Actually, it's nice that we're above that level. Obviously, we had, even just while we were trading in this area down here, obviously had a lot of perfect touches there. I think that's important resistance there. It's kind of messy. This is a messy chart just because of how all the wicks are, for the way I like to analyze. I would like to see a break of something like that. I mean, that could be a nice juicy move to the upside. If we were to get a measured move after a breakout somewhere like that, I mean, that could be a very juicy play from where we're at right now. That would be 84% or close to 90% from where we're currently trading. Yeah, there's potential for some nice moves there, and especially, I mean, what's the market cap is below 4 million, so this is another one of those coins where it's like, yeah, you know, these price gaps look absolutely ridiculous, but the fact that they're so low market cap, all it takes is one little something to spark the FOMO in the project, even if it's just the technicals causing the FOMO. I mean, you could get some very nice moves to the upside in something like this. Let's see what the indicators are saying. Did I turn off my filter? Nope, filter is on. We're starting to get those 4-hour strong buy signals. That's looking interesting. Let's check what the daily showing. Is there a long signal? Ooh, look at that. Hasn't really taken off too much yet since the bullish cross with the trend confluence on the daily here. And you can see that twice very recently we were getting these blue triangles that were trying to call for a market top basically, and we keep just breaking past those levels. So yeah, interesting. The bulls seem to have taken the wheel here. I really like that we have this support below us right now. That's very interesting. That might be something worth looking into, especially if we end up seeing a long signal show up on the daily chart here. Stu, mind if I share something on voice regarding TradeFi stocks before the Monday open? Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can feel free to hop on the voice at any time, you guys. Just absolutely feel free.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sound good.
Yeah, hey Stu. Yeah, I just wanted to share something with the group briefly. because Friday's PCE inflation number was pretty surprising. I think it caught a lot of people off guard, not just in crypto, but in TradFi as well. And I don't know if you could maybe, while I'm just sharing this, pull up the DXY, obviously the S&P, and also US government bond 2-year, possibly also S&P E-minis. If you look at all of those, I actually have these on a monitor with a 4-way split screen view in Trading View, and
nice.
all of them are really at quite pivotal levels at the minute. I mean, the DXY, yeah, it's around 105.5, which was a key level from before. The S&P's on that downward trend that's been in place for months and months, and it's retesting. And then, yeah, 2-year government bonds shot back up to around 4.8%, which was the same high back in November last year. So it just sort of feels to me a little bit that stocks or TradFi in general is really at this kind of knife edge pivotal point. I just wanted to mention this because, in my personal opinion, I think on Monday and Tuesday next week, there could be elevated volatility, put it that way, because it's such a touch and go. And also during the weekend, I've spent quite a lot of time reading, a lot of newspaper articles and commentary, CNBC, trying to get a broader view, not just in crypto. And my general impression has been that a lot of market participants are quite divided. People are either very, very bullish or very bearish. There isn't really that much people kind of sitting on the fence in the middle. So yeah, it's a bit dicey. I just wanted to mention it. I wanted to encourage people. I'm not saying be bullish or be bearish. I'm just saying be cautious. Make sure you have your stop losses. Keep one eye on stocks. I think the E-minis on the open on Monday morning could be really interesting. I'm finding it difficult to make up my mind whether it's going to go up or down, but anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'm curious, if anyone else has any other thoughts on that.
No, that's some very good input. Thanks for your opinion there, because yeah, you're absolutely right. I think both. Sorry, I never brought up the government bonds thing yet. But the DXY, I don't know. To me, this level right here is very similar to what 25K was for Bitcoin. That's kind of that lower high area that it got that bounce and it's retesting. So the DXY might have a bit of a hard time at that level. So yeah, I absolutely think that's a critical level for the DXY. And the S&P 500, I know I just moved my line very, just a very minor amount there, but just looking at this downward sloping trend line, which had a lot of touch points. I mean, 1, 2, this was very close. I don't know if you want to count it or not, but there was a lot of bang on touch points there. So the fact that we broke out of that level, or out of that range, that wedge, I guess, kind of a broadening wedge that we had here. The fact that we broke above that and now we're retesting that level in a controlled manner, I think the S&P is actually in a good place right here. I think that's I mean, I'm kind of with you that volatility might get a little bit crazy coming up with the weekly open and stuff like that, or with the Monday open rather. But I personally like the level that we're trading at here.
Yeah, just briefly, one other thought I forgot to mention is I've been trying to plan ahead a bit more, looking at the data releases and what's happening this month. And as I remember, hang on, let me just grab my journal. I think the next Fed meeting isn't until 22nd of March. So even though you've had that awful inflation print on the PCE, it's going to be a while until they actually come in. And even if they do hike 50 basis points, it's quite a long way away.
Yeah.
So people could just sort of, people have short memories, right? So I could easily see potentially having a nice bounce off there, and then in a couple of weeks' time, Powell coming in and laying down the hammer really hard.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Actually, I think that there's a very good possibility of that. Like you said, people have short memories. People are very quick to want something to happen. So as soon as people are like, "Oh yeah, well, things increase 50 points, whatever," um, I don't care anymore after a couple weeks. That's just the cost of life now. So
Yeah.
back to buying.
Also, next week, I mean, data's pretty light until Thursday. We've got non-farm payrolls on Thursday. That could be interesting. But
Ooh.
other than that, it's pretty light. So I think personally that that inflation bad news surprise is kind of priced in already.
Yeah, I
So,
would have to agree with you. I think the worst for that is kind of over already.
yeah, so I could easily see the market makers trying to catch everyone out now they got bearish from Friday
Yeah.
and have another short squeeze. Although I haven't looked at the MDX dashboard for the long shorts, actually.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's something I could probably bring up here.
That was actually useful before the dump on Friday. I did notice that the
Yeah, because it
retail,
went crazy long, didn't it?
yes, the retail and then the top traders were a lot less long.
Kind of like right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, this would be on the 4 hour, but yeah, Binance retail is very long right now.
I reckon they must all just be underwater. They're just holding on because that's, if anything, that's actually increased.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe that is all it is them just hanging on and hoping for a reversal. Because I feel like not too many people are brave enough to long these dips right now. Like everyone does seem so bearish, but I guess who knows? Like I'm just going off what I see on Twitter and stuff like that. But seems to be a lot of bearishness out there.
And then
But I mean, the
just
Moon Boys are coming out too. I guess it goes both ways, and I know I get a little too Moon Boyish sometimes. But I mean, as I'm looking right now, I don't mind where Bitcoin's sitting right now. I kind of wish that I did see everything heavily short right now because that would give me a lot more confidence with this level here. Maybe those retail longs does give enough fuel for the bears just to bring us back down to this demand zone down here. Interesting. Oh, we got that bullish cross of the hourly trend confluence, I see. See, we got the green line jump down here, so that should hopefully support the price now for the day. I guess we'll see. It obviously doesn't have to. It could flip back at any time, but I like to see that from a bullish standpoint.
Hey, before I forget, can I touch on something Jay was talking about with the 2-year bonds? My favorite economist, as I talk about a lot in the group, is Mohammed El-Arian. Go look him up if you don't know who he is. He's right a lot. And he made a point, I want to say on Friday, where he said, keep your eye on the 2-year bonds. And as Jay was saying, it was 4.8, 4.9 yield. And basically, his view on that is basically that because people are piling into those 2-year bonds, we're probably going to see some more downside this year. And his point that stuck out to me was that the investors who tend to buy 2-year bonds are older investors because they have less time to live, but they also have more experience in the markets. So they're very quick to pick those up and pick up that good yield. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Another thing about calling the bottom that I'm just relaying information, this isn't my opinion, this is just supposed fact, is that there has never been a Fed pivot that doesn't have a dump after it. So follow along with the FOMC and the rate hikes. And when they pivot, whenever that ends up being, probably because it's a 1-to-1 correlation, probably we're going to see a big dump after that. So I would like to say the bottom is in, but at the same time, my bias swings that way with that fact. So I think that it could be good for people like us good time to pick up your DGen altcoins at lower prices before we head back up into a bull market. So that's the good of the bad is the way I see it. Yeah. So like optimism, I was the one that brought up optimism earlier. I did my research on it. I liked it. I don't have money to throw at it right now. So now I'm hoping by the time that if we do have a dump like that, that could be something that I could get into because it's now created that price action recently. So it's kind of proven that it's strong. So that's about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and well, that's exactly it. Like, even if there is that pivot and we do get that harsh dump, let's say we retest, well, let's say even not quite down to our 15K low or whatever it was, but let's say some Fibonacci's, maybe the 786, 886 Fib, which would be very close to retesting that double bottom. Let's say maybe we only hit 18K or something like that. Like you were talking about, I mean, there's going to be opportunities when you're talking about those dumps, right? So it all kind of depends how you look at it. Like, yeah, a lot of people don't want to see blood in the streets or anything, but if you're looking at it like, hey, with a level head, I just want to buy something that I already want to buy this, but if I can buy it cheaper, why wouldn't I want that, right? So might get some good opportunities if we do see that downside volatility, because even if we, let's say, even theoretically, I know it still sounds a little ridiculous even to me when I say we're gonna possibly get back up to these 48K levels on this basically bear market rally. It still sounds ridiculous to me, but I mean, nothing's impossible. And even if we get to these levels, I still don't think that means bull market on. I think if we get to these levels, there's still going to be something that'll happen in the economy, something in the news that's going to end up driving the price significantly lower. And I'm not talking like new market cycle lows or anything like that. I'm looking at it more of like what COVID did, where it looked like it was bull market on, but we got that one last rejection where we got shut down to very close where our bear market lows were, but not quite. So that's where I say, like, maybe we get down to 20K or 18K or something like that. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and then. That's just me saying that if we get to these levels, I still think that we get a harsh rejection at some point, and there's going to be some reason in the media why it happened, but we're going to say that, it was chart action. It was just the stocks and the economy, everything kind of paused, nothing was moving, and something had to be blamed for some sort of a market move, right? So...
Oh yeah, I mean, you can get real creative if you've got a good imagination. So, I mean, imagine that we pivot and the stock market starts to tank, and then there's a black swan on top of that. It's completely possible at this point in time. I'm not saying anything like that's going to happen. I just actually thought about that, but like that would just take us so low with everything if we had a black swan after a Fed pivot, something like that.
Oh, absolutely, it would.
Or even before. What if it happened the other way around? Like there's a black swan and then the Fed finishes tightening and they're like, well, because the Fed, they say, that they don't care about the markets, that their job is their job and they do what they have to do with the data that they have.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, it could get really wild. And I agree with you about the swing to the upside. Like you'd have to have some serious money flow coming in to get back up to those bull market levels from 2021.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There does have to be a lot of money coming in. But another thing is, there's so many people who talk about how the market, this wasn't max pain. We need max pain yet. Well, I don't know. I know I've mentioned this, I've touched on this in the past, but to me, maximum pain seems like everyone wanted lower prices and people with deep pockets pushed the price significantly higher, and then people have to buy back in way up here. That seems like a max pain scenario to me, because right now everyone's worried that they're not going to be able to afford anything, so they're scared to buy at these accumulation levels, right? Another thing, which actually, so let's say we do end up getting that push to that 48K level like I was talking about. I'm not saying it's going to happen quick, but let's say we even do something like this and we get back up to that level, and once again we're respecting this, the bottom of this red line, old support flipping to new resistance. Just maybe we just can't get away from that line, and that's what also causes us to take a nice crash. I mean, this would be such a nice level right here to see some kind of confluence come in and see something show up in the media right around, you know, the start of 2024. You heard it here first. If it happens, it's a long shot, but it would be interesting to see if that happened to line up there.
Yeah, and I mean, if people were on their game now during this last low where Bitcoin, you know, yeah, like you said, it wicked down to the 15,000 range. But if somebody bought right there and then you sell at 40,000, that's a pretty nice profit too. So
that is just as much of a swing as most people would catch in an entire bull market anyways. So like, that's the thing, these bear market rallies, a lot of people are too scared to flip bullish because they think it's just a bear market rally, but it's basically a small bull market, you know, like there's a lot of gains to be made in those as well.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, talking about optimism, when I learned about it, and I think it was like 89 cents, and that was just like 6 weeks ago, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's say, you know, I was touching on BDP. Obviously, this is a long shot kind of scenario, but just from where the indicator on the daily got its long signal there, how many days did it take to get about a 20x? It took 1 week to get about a 17 or a 18x. Like, there is more gains in this week than anyone will see from Bitcoin alone in the entire bull market, you know? So yeah, like there's opportunities there. And this shit is what happens when Bitcoin is trading sideways and boring. That's where when I talk about Bitcoin, you know, absolutely exploding and then calming its titties and trading sideways, that's when you get altcoins doing this kind of shit. So there's so much opportunity in these little rallies that Bitcoin has.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Sorry for talking over you, but it was a bit that happened in a bear market, man. So it's not all bad, and there's always opportunity. So
absolutely, and that's why we learn to read charts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you were a trader that got that rip on BDP right there that you just circled, I don't care who it is, somebody's gonna be real happy. Like, hey, congratulations, man, that's a sick trade. Period.
Oh yeah, no kidding. I wouldn't be upset with a 18x. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, just because this stream is getting a little long and they take forever to upload, I am going to wrap this up, but I will still stick around while I'm uploading and stuff in case anyone you guys want to hang out and shoot the shit or whatever. We can still look at more stuff. So, yeah, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. So anyways, friends, obviously none of this has been financial advice. Always do your own research to form your own opinions. But if you appreciated this video, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If the indicators I use interest you, there is a referral link for a 15% discount down below, and that also gets you into MDX Crypto's private Discord with the fine traders here with me at this very moment. So with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.